snapshot, right? So, oops, sorry. So I think you guys probably, and if you don't have it today, that's fine. But if you have that document that I gave first week, you want to actually put down your total debt, and you don't have to do it right this second. Your minimum monthly payments, your interest rates, and then your total monthly debt obligations, and then figure out what changes you need to make. So you cannot fix what you don't know. So if you don't know all the debt that you have outstanding, that's usually, remember we talked about avoiding the balance? So if you avoid the balance, you can't fix it because you don't know that you have the balance, right? So that's one of those things that you want to make sure that you look at. You want me to go back? No. Okay. All right, so building the plan. So what do? You have this debt, you have all of this debt. What do you do? Where do you start? Stop increasing the problem. That's number one. Stop adding to the debt. Because if you realize that you're in that space where you need to pay off things, don't add to it. That's just going to exacerbate the problem, right? And make it worse. So stop increasing the problem. So before you do aggressive payoff, reduce unnecessary spending is what you want to do. Pause unnecessary borrowing. So remember I said that before. If you don't need that, convenience charge for a period of time, just pause it. Don't completely erase it if it's something that you like, the convenience of somebody bringing your groceries to your door. That's fine. But if you're in a space where you need to, create a better situation and pay off debt, then you want to pause that if you possibly can. Avoid high interest debt. If you can avoid borrowing when the interest rate is super high, do that as much as possible. And then identify spending leaks. And I keep saying a lot of them, but you can identify them in your own financial situation. You'll know if you have leaks, right? So debt reduction begins with behavior changes. If you don't change the behavior, you can't reduce the debt. If you keep spending, the debt is going to continue to grow, and then you're going to be stressed. You're not going to be able to sleep. All of those things will continue to compound, and that's what you want to avoid. So in order to reduce the debt, you have to change the behavior first. And then you want to start building. Again, this should have been taken care of from week 1, but just in case we're in week 4 and you didn't already start, an emergency fund is essential. It's so important. And I think, again, a lot of people just forget about this because they're like, well, I have a credit card for that. And the credit card should not be for this. That should be after you've already exacerbated what you saved in the emergency fund. And then you're like, something else happened and I didn't have the time to build back up my emergency fund. And now this other emergency happened. That's when you use credit or debt for that because you were already doing what you needed to do, right? So again, don't use credit for emergencies unless you've already built your emergency fund. And again, you already used it up and you need more. That's why I also said 12 months, at least 12 months. I don't like the 3 to 6 month thing. I was watching a video last night and another guy actually said the same thing. He said 6 to 12 months is what he thinks is ideal. And that's what, for me personally, that's what has made sense because I have been in that post 12-month scenario where I needed my emergency fund to pay. And remember, we said your emergency fund is supposed to be able to cover all your expenses, your mortgage, your rent, your car note, your credit cards, all your loans. That's the amount that you should have in your emergency fund account each month. Because if you're extended, you're unemployed for a longer period of time, you need to be able to cover all of those bills, right? Savings account, a CD. I wouldn't put it in a CD unless it's a CD that you could easily take the money out without penalty. A lot of them, they lock you into a window and then you can't withdraw the funds. I would put it in a high yield savings account. It shouldn't be in an investment account at all, right? I mean, if you put it in a high yield savings. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
well, if you can't earn interest, like mine's in a high yield savings
Yeah,
account.
high yield.
Yep.
Fine, but we're not on our way to earn interest.
Yeah.
So that's why we don't invest.
Yeah. You should have access to it. Yeah,
No,
you.
I have access to that. Access to it. Yeah, no, I have access to it. But I just choose to put it in a
High yield.
you know.
Yeah, same. I have mine in a high yield as well, but that's where you need. And when you, because right now I'm in that phase where I'm like, all right, it's still good, but I need to build it back up. Because I'm like Coron, 2 years, man. Because sometimes things happen and you don't expect them, and that's why they're called an emergency, because they're unplanned. So if you don't have one, guys, start small. Don't go, crazy and set yourself up for failure by saying, you know what, I need to have $10,000, and you start going hard for that if your budget doesn't allow that, right? So start small, and when you get those goals, you set a small goal and you get a win, celebrate that win and move on and start. Don't stay in that celebrations phase for too long, right? Celebrate for 5 minutes and move on and start building again.
How do you differentiate? You have your savings, your emergency fund, and then something beside, like I like to have a Christmas account, right?
Yeah.
That I use for that. How do you separate? Like, what's your?
So my emergency fund account is in a completely different bank.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bank.
Completely different bank. And in my regular savings, I don't know, maybe you weren't here the week that I talk about it. I diversify everything. So my savings accounts are diversified. So I have 4 banks. So different banks. Yeah. So I think it's either 3 or 4. And I have a savings account in each one. So my emergency fund account, though, is in that one bank. And then I have the bank where I pay most of my bills from. I have a checking and I have a savings. And that's usually the everyday savings account. Something comes up, you need to buy a card for somebody, it comes out of that account. And then I have other savings account that are not easily accessible, but they're accessible. It will take me a couple days because I have to transfer the money. I got to wait and whatever. So that's usually what I do. I just put it in different places. That's a good strategy for people to use. Don't just commingle. Your emergency fund account should be separate from anything else. And then all your other savings, and you could break it up. You could, if you have, an account for, say, travel, that could be one account for your savings account, and then you could have another one for something else. But for me, I just like to have, I don't like to commingle things. So I just keep it separated like that. And then, so your emergency fund usually will take care of car repairs, medical bills, unexpected bills, the roof, something happens with the roof, your oil tank, whatever, so many different things, right? And then know your numbers. It's important. Write down what your total debt is. If you need to categorize them, put it in a spreadsheet, right? And just put all your debt, all the total balances that you have, the interest rate for each. And if you're only making the minimum payments, put that also. And then you'll see it. Because I think when people see numbers in black and white, it makes more sense to them. It comes alive. It's like real. It's like, I got to deal with this stuff. So clarity reduces the financial anxiety. When you know it, you're less stressed, because then you could start coming up with a game plan on how to attack it. So there are different methods to paying off your debt. You don't have to use this one. You don't even have to use the other one that I'm talking about. You should use whatever makes sense for you, right? So they have the debt snowball effect. Before I even knew that there was a name for this, this is the one that I used in my personal life, right? And now I realize, oh, there's a name, debt snowball. So you start paying off. So you have 5 credit cards, right? 3 or 5. They have different balances from smallest to largest. You continue to pay every single one, even if it's just the minimum that you could make. But then you start attacking the smallest one, pay that off first. And then that amount that you used to pay on that smallest card, roll that into the next card. Once you're done with the first one, roll that in. So now you're paying extra on the second card. When you're done paying for the second card, roll both of those into the third one. Now you're paying extra on, you know what I mean? So you continue to pay that off. And that, for me, I found that was the best strategy for me over years when I had debt that I needed to pay down. So it shows you quick wins because you could pay off small cards quickly. You see some momentum early, and it increased motivation to do that. So pay minimums on everything. Don't ever leave any outstanding. and then attack the smallest balances aggressively and then roll payment forward. So you just always add. So you're always making extra payments. And then you have the other one, debt avalanche, which is you're paying the highest interest debt first. You pay that down first, and then you continue the same method. So you pay the highest interest first. When you're done with that, then you go to the next one. This could probably take longer, but you will eliminate the high interest fast if you attack that card first, right? But if it's a $10,000 balance and you're already struggling, it may be harder to pay this down faster. So that's why, for me, I prefer the debt snowball. But you choose whatever makes sense for you. These are the two of them, the side by side, to just see what they look like. The snowball builds motivation, so it's motivation focused. And then the avalanche is really focused on the math, like trying to not overpay. And that's the whole idea between either method or any other method that you may come up with that may work for you and your family. So strategic debt reduction. So how do you increase your income? Because sometimes you just don't have enough, period. Sometimes you're trying, and there's just not enough. So sometimes you have to increase your income, side income, or selling unused items like those people in my neighborhood should be doing, but they don't, right? I've done that. I've sold my dishwasher. I just listed on Facebook or some site,